Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Selena from Wholeness Campaign, and today I want to share about fermented brines and the power that is found in these little drops of brines that come from sauerkraut, pickles, beets, any kind of fermented vegetable, and the liquid that comes from it is literally probiotic gold. And I kind of want to take you through my story with my pickle brine mishap, because it just goes to show the power of these things and how nourishing but also how healing they can be, and how you really do have to be careful. So let's jump in. So the first thing I want to say is that fermented brines are basically like a probiotic powerhouse. If you are paying good hard-earned money for commercial probiotics, I would encourage you to stop, because anything that you'll buy on the market in terms of commercial probiotics is going to be far less superior than just making your own sauerkraut, pickles, fermented beets, and all of those things, and actually just drinking a little bit of the brine each day, especially when they come from a garden, especially when they're locally grown, homegrown, that sort of thing. These brines can be so incredibly powerful, and they can cause very, very strong detox reactions. Fermented brines are pretty cool because the probiotics in them will actually work to chelate heavy metals in your bloodstream, and they're able to repopulate the gut microbiome, especially after being damaged and working so hard to heal and seal that gut. You really want to replenish the gut microbiome with beneficial microbes. These beneficial microbes will help to support your body's healing. They'll help to enhance your immune system, but essentially they're acting like soldiers that line up across your digestive tract lining and prevent any sort of damage from occurring to the villi and ultimately the lining of your digestive tract. So believe it or not, that is where most of your health is determined by. And if you don't believe me, you can check out another video that I have on the GAPS diet and how the gut really does end up being the source of so many health conditions. So if you can get this under your belt, it is one of the best ways that you can support your health. So not only do they chelate heavy metals, but they also work to really just fight against pathogens. The problems that happen in your digestive system most often happen because of an imbalance of microbes. So there might be an overgrowth of some kind of pathogenic bacteria, and the answer is not to kill these pathogens. It's really to outweigh them with positive, beneficial microbes so that they're drowned out, per se, in all of the different microbes that exist in your body. Again, we are made of microbes, so it's really, really important that we are actually taking in beneficial ones and not letting the pathogenic ones overload our bodies. And it's super common and super easy in our society today to have pathogens that overgrow due to antibiotic use, due to any kind of toxins or contaminants you've been exposed to, any kind of pollution you've been exposed to. It's really, really common. And so adding this into your diet is really just a way to kind of like a better version of like a multivitamin. I mean, you need the vitamins too, but really this should go alongside any kind of nutrition that you're doing. If this is not a part of your nutritional protocol, I would say that you're probably not healing yourself. You might just be limiting exposure to more toxins, so it maybe makes you feel better for a time, but it's actually this kind of healing that gut lining that will actually help you to recover fully from any kind of sickness, because again, like I said, they're like soldiers, and so it makes you way less prone to experience symptoms when you're exposed to these things in the future. Now, there are a variety of different kinds of fermented brines that you can make, or you can even buy nowadays. You can get these at stores most of the time, but I have really enjoyed over the time of being on GAPS to consume beet kvass. The beet juice especially helps with your liver function, but those microbes, again, from being fermented in saltwater brine, really do help support your gut healing. Again, Dr. Natasha is really big on sauerkraut brine, so that's fermented cabbage juice, so like the brine of fermented cabbage. You can also drink pickle brine. This is not to be confused with the store-bought pickle brine, because most of those are made with vinegar, and it just doesn't allow the same kind of growth of microbes. So you want to really kind of stick to homegrown or lacto-fermented pickles. Also on GAPS, a really popular one is vegetable medley, and that's basically just a bunch of vegetables made with adding basically whey from either kefir or yogurt into it before it ferments, so that the microbes from the kefir or the yogurt, which we already know are super strong, can be populating and multiplying in this microbe-filled vegetable brine. So those are kind of like my top 4 that I kind of go to most of the time, although there are so many more, and I would encourage you to experiment because there's pretty much an endless amount of what you can do with fermented brines. People like to do kimchi, people like to do all sorts of different fermented radish and onions and all of it. So the crazy thing is that each of these different vegetables have different properties of microbes that can grow with them, and depending on where they were made, they might have a different composition of microbes. Something that's kind of interesting to me is that the microbiome of a home in one place might not have the same microbiome of a home in another place. I talk about that here a lot on my channel. But even our homes, the air we breathe actually has microbes, and so actually having a fermented brine from a different person's house, even if it's the same ingredients, could have a completely different microbial composition. And you may actually not be used to that kind of microbial composition because you're so used to your own and the one in your home. So this is why you can actually share ferments with each other, and it can actually benefit your health even more, which is kind of crazy. But the goal here is really to expose yourself to diversity of microbes. So that's why I give you like 4 that I do. I kind of like to cycle through those because the goal is that you're developing a diverse microbiome, one that has different microbes exposure. So that's why kefir is so awesome, and kefir whey would be amazing to add into a fermented brine because kefir has the most number of different strains of beneficial bacteria that are in it. So what's crazy even too is that if you grow your fermented brines at home from your own garden and you're not washing them with chlorinated, chemical-ridden tap water, the composition of microbes in that fermented brine is actually going to be much, much greater. Even if you actually wash them lighter, to a lighter degree, that's basically allowing you to be more exposed to the microbes that are then in the dirt that might still be remaining on those vegetables, which again is not a bad thing. People get so scared of parasites coming from all these things, but really, again, like I said, it's about diversity in your gut microbiome. And if you want to learn more about parasites, I'll link a video above, but people have a lot of misconceptions about them. And it actually is really good for you to be exposed to different kinds of microbes with a healthy balance of the beneficial ones. So this has been a non-negotiable for me. As I've been pregnant, I will take some kind of fermented brine every single morning. It helps with yeast overgrowth that can happen in pregnancy. It helps to seed the microbiome of your baby, which I talk about in another video, how your gut microbiome actually gets passed on to your baby depending on how healed or how damaged it is. You basically directly affect the health of your child. And so having probiotics, especially in the form of food, fermented brines can be a really, really beneficial thing to that baby, especially since they're in liquid form. They're able to cross blood-brain barriers and really cleanse your bloodstream, which is especially important for that baby. My caution here when you're pregnant is that it can cause detox reactions, and so you really do want to go slowly with the fermented brines, especially when you're pregnant, because I would say even slower than you would normally. And if you have a really damaged body, Dr. Natasha even recommends starting with a drop of fermented brine. And you could even dilute that drop if that feels like too much, because these things are so powerful. Again, my caution is that all of these are so powerful. So you really do want to start slow and don't build up too fast. Don't start with too much, and never assume that you've gotten to a place where you can tolerate all things, because if it comes from a different household, it can be a different microbial makeup and your body might not actually be used to that. Doesn't mean it's bad, it actually means that it's pretty good, but it can cause, again, the detox reactions. So now I want to give you my kind of story with pickle brine, because I actually hadn't ever had an extreme reaction to fermented brines before this story, which is kind of crazy because I'd been on GAPS for about 2 years before actually doing this, which goes to show you that you could be drinking fermented brines all the time and then be exposed to something new, and it gets a little crazy. So I have a friend who is making her own fermented pickles, and she gave me a jar one day because I was like really craving pickles. So I went ahead and I ate a full pickle because I'd been on GAPS for a while. I thought I could tolerate pickles. I've tolerated pickles from other sources, and so I really thought it would be fine. I had a whole pickle, and later that evening my knee blew up, and it literally looked like huge and swollen and red. Kind of making me nervous, honestly, guys. I was like, what is going on? And for like days on days on days afterwards, I was fatigued. I was experiencing a lot of weird digestive symptoms that I was not used to experiencing at that point. You guys, it got me to the point where I was like napping full on like I was in my first trimester, but this was before any kind of pregnancy ever happened. It was insane. I was like, what happened? I feel like I reverted. And then I actually had been eating these pickles for, you know, a few days before I realized what was going on. It probably ended up being a month of recovery from this fermented brine, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it was crazy. It was just like a couple pickles. Like, it was not that much, but the composition was not something that I was used to, and I actually never had any of her fermented vegetables before or any of the brines before. So didn't realize what was going on until way later, and then I went to go and taste the brine again because I'll just sip on the brine in the mornings as kind of like a supplement. And I think I had just like a sip, like a small sip, and that was even too much, and the same reaction happened again. It was like a week or two of like full-on exhaustion, detox reactions. Like, I've never experienced this kind of thing in my life, honestly. It was so powerful, and that's when I realized it was a pickle brine and that I really needed to slow down. So I started going really slow and diluting it and moving literally at like less than, I think I was moving at like a quarter of a drop like a day for almost like a month of doing that, and then I could slowly increase. I mean, you guys, it was so slow, and still to this day I think I haven't done more than a tablespoon of it. And this thing happened like, what, it was like 8 months ago, 7 months ago. It was crazy, you guys. I'm not kidding you. Like, these things are very powerful. They can cause different kinds of reactions for different people, but I did not feel good. I felt sick. I felt like all these symptoms came back, and I was like, what is going on? Slowed it down, and it really made a huge difference. So I would encourage you, involve these things in your day-to-day life, but go really slowly. Notice that they're powerful. They are like medicine to your body, and the fact that I reacted so much to it meant that there were strains of probiotics in that pickle brine that my body was not exposed to, or not exposed to in the large amounts that it needed to be. And that's when you know that you should kind of press into that specific brine because your body needs it. I hope this video was helpful. If you got anything valuable out of this video, please comment below. And as always, like and subscribe to my channel. It is my passion to walk alongside people as they heal and grow. It inspires me and hopefully brings encouragement to you. Thanks for watching.